In 1932, a terrible famine broke out in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainian peasants died of hunger. At that time, Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union, was still taking large amounts of grain from Ukraine in order to raise money for the first 5-year plan. But can you believe it? Stalin almost never got the chance to carry out the 5-year plan at all. Back in 1913, Stalin was exiled to Siberia because he had spent years robbing banks and writing articles against Tsarist rule. Siberia was so far away from normal human life that it was basically the end of the world version of Russia. Stalin probably thought his life was going to end there. But then, in 1916, World War I was still going on, and Russia badly needed more soldiers. So the Tsarist government actually brought the exiled Stalin back and planned to send him to the front. Just like that, Stalin finally left Siberia. But during the medical checkup, the doctor found that Stalin's arm could not fully straighten, so he could not properly use a rifle. Because of this, Stalin somehow escaped military service and returned to the revolutionary movement. However, Siberia clearly gave Stalin a very strong memory. In the years that followed, Stalin built many labor camps in Siberia and sent countless prisoners and political enemies there as punishment. By March 1917, February according to the old Russian calendar, World War I had caused huge losses for Russia. More and more people opposed the rule of the Tsar. In the end, Tsar Nicholas II was forced to abdicate. After that, Russia had two centers of power. One was the provisional government, formed by members of the old Russian parliament, the State Duma. The other was the Soviet, led by Vladimir Lenin and his supporters. At first, most people supported the provisional government. This was because it did not make big changes to the old social system of Tsarist Russia. Its goal was to build a parliamentary democracy like those in Western countries. Lenin's supporters were mainly workers, but the provisional government had just taken power and already made a huge mistake. It wanted Russia to gain more benefits after winning World War I, so it kept sending the exhausted Russian army to attack Germany, even though the front line was already in terrible shape. As expected, the result was another crushing defeat. Because of this, anti-war voices in Russia became strong again. Lenin saw his chance and decided to overthrow the provisional government. In October 1917, according to the old Russian calendar, the cruiser Aurora fired a shot at the Winter Palace, the former palace of the Tsars. This shot was used as the signal for the uprising to begin. With that cannon shot, the first socialist government in human history was born. Lenin and Stalin clearly understood that the Russian army was already extremely weak. They wanted to make peace with Germany, but making peace meant giving up land and paying a heavy price. Many people inside the Bolshevik party strongly opposed this. They believed Russia should keep fighting Germany until the end. When Leon Trotsky went to negotiate with the Germans, Lenin told him to accept all the German demands. But Trotsky did not do this. He believed Germany would soon have a revolution too, but he was wrong. The talks failed. Germany attacked again. The Russian army suffered another terrible defeat. At the next meeting, Lenin and Stalin firmly demanded that the treaty had to be signed. Otherwise, the revolution itself might fail. In the end, the peace treaty was finally signed. This was the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. But the price was extremely painful. Russia lost control of Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and parts of Belarus and Ukraine. History later showed that Lenin and Stalin's idea was right. As long as you survive, there is still hope. But if you are destroyed, then everything is over. After World War II, almost all of these lost lands were either taken back or brought under Soviet control under Stalin's leadership. In the next part of the story, this new government would face a war it could not avoid, the Russian Civil War. And 20 years later, it would take part in the largest war in human history. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe.